The Windward world is a world of seas and islands, of winds and currents, of currents and winds. It has a vast, circular ocean, a great watery bowl with the shores of its rim so far from each other that there are vast stretches of water between them. A ship sailing west in such a sea would see nothing but water ahead and behind her for many days, until the land was revealed by a great island to the north or south, or by the first sighting of some other land-bound vessel. On the windward side of the world there is no land to speak of, no great island or continent that can be reached from the sea, only scattered rocks, uninhabited atolls and low-lying islets. In the past, the westernmost part of the world was known as the Dolphin Coast. The sea was dotted with small islands, reefs, and atolls which the dolphins had given their names to. As a sailor sailed westwards over the empty waters, he would come across the first atoll, and he would be able to sail straight into its lagoon without risking the coral reefs. He would come ashore on its sandy beaches, perhaps sleep the night in the huts of the fishing people who lived there, and then set sail again for the next island. He might find himself at night in a group of small islets, in the midst of a circle of calm, shallow waters, or he might pass through a gap between two larger islands or two groups of atolls, and be suddenly alone with the open sea before him and the stars shining overhead. From time to time he might see another ship, far off to the east, or to the north or south. He would be able to sail back to it if he wished. He could tell his friends the way to where he was going. He would not have to spend long in one place. The islands were few, and none of them was very large, so that he would never find himself becalmed in one place for long. The sea was rich and full of life. Birds in the sky, fish in the sea, turtles on the sand, dolphins leaping from wave to wave, fish that lay glittering on the surface of the water, sometimes darting up close enough for the men to touch. This was a good world, filled with abundance and beauty. The men of the time were contented with their lives. They were healthy, they worked hard, and they were strong. They did not know of illness, or of old age or death. They believed that they would live forever and that they would be born again, young and strong, to a new life on earth. It is strange how quickly these things change. They came to the end of the Dolphin Coast, and then they found that they were still in water that was almost entirely surrounded by land. There was an island, just visible through the mists, and then another, and another, and then the whole sea was thick with islands, many of them inhabited, and there was no longer any chance of getting back to the place from which they had come. The man who had been at the head of the expedition took command. He had not been born to a noble family and had been a seaman all his life, but he was not a stupid or lazy man. He did not ask any of his companions what they thought they should do. He said, "We will go on, as we have been going. I think we must be near the island where we were to meet the king's ship." They did as he said, but they saw no sign of the ship, and when at last they saw land, it was an island so small that they thought they might have passed it in the fog. The coastline was hidden from them by a headland and then by a reef, and the reefs themselves were dangerous, for they were lined with coral, and when they passed over them the little ship was lifted high out of the water, and her timbers groaned as she moved along them, making a noise like a woman in pain. The ship's captain ordered his men to row, but there was no wind and they could not move forward at all. And at last one man tried to make sail with the cloth of a sail. He ran forward, holding it up above his head, but before he had taken half a dozen steps it caught on the mast. He stumbled backwards and fell overboard. One of the sailors swam to the place where he had disappeared, but by then it was dark and he was too far from the shore to be seen by anyone who might have been watching for him. The rest of them went back to rowing again, in the hope that some wind might come to fill their sails, but when they had rowed for 3 days and nights there was still no sign of wind. They knew that if they did not soon reach land, or at least see some light from the shore, they must give up all hope of reaching it at all. The ship's captain knew that he was in command now. The men would listen to him. He said, "We will stay where we are until morning. We will lower the boat and one of us will swim ashore and look for food and fresh water. If we do not see him again by noon, we will turn round and sail home." There was not much to eat in the ship. Some of it had been left behind when she had been abandoned, and some of it had been thrown overboard during the storm. But there were still a few loaves of bread left in a chest in the galley. The men divided these up among themselves. The captain gave them some dried meat and some fruit, and they drank their water ration and made what soup there was, which tasted as if it was made from leather or from tar.